Hello, welcome back to another new watch mod. So today we are going to mod a Datejust inspired using this olive green Arabic dial, sunburst dial. Very beautiful. And if you're new to this channel, I mod watches on this channel. I share them with everybody. So feel free to subscribe. Over 90% of you watching are not subscribed to me, and I'll really appreciate if you can just subscribe, like, and share my videos if you enjoyed them. So today we will be using the NH35 movement. So this is a very standard movement and it's recommended for anyone looking to start building your first watch. So let's begin. This is a client's build. So we will be using the Jubilee bracelet kit as well as the fluted bezel as I've shown earlier. And then to begin the build, I recently tried this new movement holder. I think this is quite standard. A few other watch models also use them, but in fact I do prefer the one that I've always been using because of the fact that it gives a much more stable hole in general for me, but I think ultimately it's still up to personal preference as to which one you enjoy or which one you find more comfortable using. So going forward with this, I think this dial only came with 2 dial fits, so I did not have to actually take off any of them. So very simply just align the date window. Usually actually at the 3 o'clock there is a very small niche into the dial. It's not like perfectly circular. That's where you can actually align it to the stem, and then just align the 2 dial feet with the holes on the movement spacer, the gray spacer, and then just give you a very tight very hard press, just so that everything fits perfectly nice and tight onto the movement. So the last thing that you want is actually for the hands and the dial to come off loose once everything's installed properly, because then you will have to remove everything and do it all over again. So pull the NH35 movement out to the second position and then rotate clockwise to make sure that you exactly at the point whereby the date flicks is where you will put on the hour hand and the minute hand. This ensures as accurate as possible that whenever the watch strikes 12 midnight, the date changes to the next date. So this is actually the best or most accurate way you can do it. In fact, whenever you get plus minus 10 minutes and the date flicks, that is actually considered pretty accurate already. So don't fuss over too much about the date not changing or not flicking directly when the watch strikes midnight. So always have your puffer ready and just give you a few puff in between your building process to make sure that it remains dust free and that the movement and the dial is clear. So you will see later I kind of like actually stain this dial a little bit, because sunburst dial gets pretty stained easily whenever, as long as you touch it with a potentially unclean object. So what I like to do is just get a microfiber cloth or a spectacle cloth and just dab a little bit of water and then just rub it off slightly, so the stain or the marks will just come off easily, because those are just like kind of like stain that are easily removable. And using the microfiber or spectacle cloth also prevents you from actually further scratching or actually permanently staining the dial. So what I suggest to do after putting on every hand is to use the movement in second position and just go around the dial once to make sure that the date changes within range, and more importantly is to make sure that the hands are properly affixed. So you can see just now actually the hour hand kind of came off a little loose, and that's an indicator for me that I did not put it on properly. So then I have to use a hand pusher again to make sure that it fits nice and tight before proceeding to the minute hand. And when putting on the minute hand, it's also important that you put it directly parallel with the hour hand, and same for the second hand. This is so that when the second hand is moving, it actually does not hit the minute hand. Sometimes when this happens, the second hands get jammed and it might potentially break the entire movement, right? So to avoid this, it's also important to constantly check. So what I like to do is to look from the side when I'm building it to make sure that I can actually see a clear and obvious gap and clear and obvious parallel lines of the three hands. And also always make sure that your hand pusher is upright, directly perpendicular to the surface of the dial when you're pushing down the hands. So this makes sure that you actually do not damage the hands in the process, and also push the hands correctly into its position. For second hand wise, I still think this is the most effective and efficient method. If you have any other better method, please feel free to let me know, but I always find this easy and quick because there's actually, if you look closely into the center of the movement, you can see a very small point in the center that's jutting out. All you need to do is just to align that to the bottom of the second hand and just give it a very light press. Once it's in, you can easily just use another hand pusher to give it a light press on the center at the exact point, just so that you confirm that the second hand fits perfectly and properly onto the movement. And then just see if it's moved, and if it moves, just let it go one round to make sure that at no point in time the second hand actually stop moving or hit the minute hand and is unable to continue moving. So if any of this happen, it's always important to just stop the movement at the second position, remove the second hand, and then put it on again, right? So this is the important feature of the second hand hacking. So that's when you put it into the second position of the NH35 movement, just so that the second hand stop moving and prevent potentially any further damage to the hands, dial, or even the movement itself. So now I'm going to feed the movement into the case. So the case comes with an O-ring. Just make sure that you put the O-ring into the gasket lubricator. So all my parts that I'm using, including the tools, the hands, dial, case, movement, are all linked in the description. So feel free to take a look at them if any of them interest you. So after this, just make sure that the case, the inner side, is dust free. I like to clean it using a microfiber cloth, and then just put it under the light to spot any potential dust, and of course use the dust blower to just make sure that you put all of the dust, you blow all of the dust away, right? And then once that's done, remove the stem from the movement and just put it on into the case. So just feel free to watch on. I won't bore you for this part.
So the case also comes with a spacer. So just make sure that when you put the movement in, it fits nice and tight. And then you put the silver jagged spacer, as you can see, in as well before casing them up all together. So you don't have to tighten it too much, just make sure that everything fits. You're able to actually screw the case, because you still have to trim down on the stem before I'm actually putting everything in properly together. So just make sure that the second hand's moving, everything is fine, and then now all you have to do is to measure how much of the stem to cut off. So it's always from the outermost side of the case all the way to the inner side of the crown. So that gives you an indication of how much to cut off. So I always like to cut slightly less before using sandpaper to just file it properly. And then of course when you put it in, you will get to see how much it is that you still have to file or trim off, right? So it's always better to cut less than cut more, because once you cut more, then you have to get a new one. Alright, so after trimming it and sanding it properly, I can put everything together now. So you can see I'm able to screw it down properly, nice and tight. I'm able to pull it into the first and second position easily as well, right? And also, if you are winding it and it's screwing in, that means that the stem is actually too short. So that means you have to get a new one and to cut it again to the right size, right? So now put back the O-ring. So take it out from the lubricating container. So there's a nook along the circumference of the case back, so that's where you actually put on the O-ring into, and that actually enhances in a way the level of water resistance for this case, right? So put it in properly, just screw it up with the rubber ball, so that make sure that everything is tight and properly fitted. So overall, you can see this watch is very beautiful. It's 39 mm, so just the right size for guys, I think, especially for a model like this. I like the fluted bezel, and I think the olive green sunburst effect, it's really beautiful in this case on this Arabic dial. So everything looks nice. This is built for one of the clients, so I won't actually tear off the packaging and just show you how it looks on the wrist. I really like it. It looks really beautiful. And let me know in the comment section below what other builds I should go for, and if you have any other ideas, feel free to let me know as well. Questions as well, just pop them in the comment section. And thanks for watching as always. Do like, share, and subscribe if you like this video, and I will catch you in the next build.